Dear SwissBorg community, we are here for the Pow Wow, whoa, yippee yo, yippee yay, DAO video number 6. Guys, super excited to be here. So we're going to talk about quickly, are we in the doomsday? Is Earth finished? Is BTC Ether going to the garbage or not? Then after, we're going to talk obviously about the fact that DeFi, is that the real model of the future, or is it centralized finance? Because there's been a lot of different issues last week. To finish, obviously, on the Wealth app and great things about SwissBorg news. So keep and tune in. So guys, as you always know, this is always my favorite slide. All these beautiful pictures. It's really cool to all have you, and it's been quite crazy recently on Telegram. Obviously, you guys know what happened. So, the Wealth app, the Swiss version, has just been released at a small level, obviously, because we want to scale and have that red carpet 5-star service to offer to everyone. And it's really cool to see that, you guys are super excited about it, that there's things that are going extremely well, some things are not. There's minor bugs, but, we're really super proud of getting to this stage. This is like massive fireworks. But before getting to that, let's talk about a little bit of the quote of the week. So if some guys have studied Chinese or Mandarin, this means Weiji. And what does Weiji stand for? Weiji stands for a crisis, right? Where in every crisis, you have danger and opportunities. And this is something that is extremely important that we should all put in our brains, okay? The crypto market and the financial market always tends to overreact to anything, especially when it's fear itself. And the only thing to fear is fear itself, right? As Roosevelt said. And, obviously it's bad times and it's delicate times and we see the market tanking, but that means there's a lot of great opportunities as well. Opportunities to buy cheap and grow with those positions. So, and what goes with that is that this crisis that we're going through, this shows it up quite well, to be honest, which is that, this is not the apocalypse, right? The apocalypse would be anarchy and zombies. And right now what's happening, essentially, we're all doing remote and there's no more toilet paper. And that's pretty much what's happening today, right? And, I do believe it's very stressful times for a lot of different people, and no doubt, not taking this away. But we still have to consider ourselves that even if we feel that this is a crisis and it's really hard, think about all the migrants around the world, right? Where they're always fighting for their lives, they're fleeing their homes, they're not even able to express their ideas, they're not even able to get, the basics, food and sanitary, and this is what they've been doing. And look at Syria, right? It's been now 10 years that this is a battleship that's going through so many misery. And us, it's, it's remote working, right? Right now I have a set at home. It's not as cool as hanging out at the office. I'm not feeling very well, probably a little bit sick as well, but, I'm not going to die here, and this is not life-threatening for the young people. It might be for some elderish people, but we still should believe that right now it's hard, but it's not apocalypse and it's not Walking Dead, so don't need to buy 10 tons of toilet paper. That's pretty much what I wanted to say. But maybe a few Bitcoins and a lot of CHSB. That's what maybe we should buy and convince more people to get into. With that being said, when you are able to control risk in a very good way, usually the one who makes the biggest changes. Because obviously entrepreneurs or even most crypto activists and crypto investors, obviously we take a lot of risk and it's not for everyone. But one thing about Elon Musk, he's probably the guy who took the most risk in his life. And he is today, for me, probably one of the most influential guys that will change the 21st century, right? He came from a background where he was in academia in Stanford doing his PhD. And after 3 days, he's like, you know what, I just quit. And I don't quit just to do nothing. No, it's a Lancet company that spins off right after and makes a shitload of cash with it too, and makes 22 million, then founds X.com, big part of PayPal, and again, gets bought out and makes 165. Out of that money that he made within that good year, because 1999 was a great year for tech, in 2002, the guy took the risk of creating a technological company in 2002. The worst time in the world, the worst time. You can't do worse. And not only is it technology like that's going to be easy to implement, no, he's trying to create, to be a competitor essentially to NASA. I mean, why a private company would do that? So he invested almost all his cash in that venture to create SpaceX, and from that, he won a great amount of deals with NASA and other companies. With that, he got in from SpaceX, moved to transition into Tesla. Tesla only grew, took out of after Solar City with 2.1 billion into Tesla, and today he's one of the greatest contributors of all time, and he is taking risk on a daily basis. Look at that picture. I mean, that's his last time he showed on air. I mean, was it a big coup? Obviously not. It sucked the fact that he broke the windows and there was not proof glass as we thought. But it doesn't matter if you calculate your risk in a very fair way. You will make a lot of mistakes. But if you calculate the big steps that are the most important one, the most crucial one, the one, for example, we're doing for the Wealth app, making sure that we're not releasing it in one stage, but we're releasing multiple different phases to make sure that we really understand not the tip of the iceberg, but all the different problems that could emerge from that. That's how you take calculated risk. And that's why we should all think and be like Elon Musk. Now let's talk about that weird thing, COVID-19. Well, that thing sucks. But at the same time, if you look at what other activists and crypto guys say about it, John McAfee, is that the risk of catching coronavirus is 100 times less than catching the flu and dying from the flu. I predict that we'll have lower than 100,000 people that will die from it. And the flu itself killed more people just in 1 year last year, and he's calling it a scam. I don't think it's a scam. I think there's an overreaction from multiple states. It's as well a good reason for a small recession to happen or a big crisis to happen. It could be as well a favorable way to show what's the politics between different countries and who is like the beauty contest and who managed to do the best out of it. I think so. That's maybe something, and it's a good way for different organizations around the world to show who's handling the pressure better than the others. With that being said, it is there is this infection that is totally legit, and we know that it has a lot of repercussion. But we should not overreact to it. And I love what Mirat Zaki said just recently on Twitter, is that just not because you have some fever or you have a running nose that you're already going to have coronavirus and you're going to die. And that's something that you guys should be aware of it. However, if you feel that you're not good, I mean, you should stay home. Don't talk to old people. Wash your hands very often. Don't touch your face. And make sure that you're playing the smart game. With that being said, for people who haven't got contracted COVID-19, great news. The COVID-20 is about to be released with great features on it. Joking. No, that's a poor joke. But I liked it. I really liked this Korean guy. He really break down essentially what's happening on and updating it. So we see there's 190,000 cases. If we look at the statistics, I mean, China, and they seem to be well done, these statistics, they did a great job. If we see that out of, only 5% of cases in China actually result in death, and that we have more than 75% that are actually recovered today, that's a very good chance that this coronavirus is dangerous, but it's not lethal to most people. Especially the fact that China and Wuhan, well, it's not a very well-known place for healthcare in general, even if they did a fantastic job of setting up like these hospitals within like 2 weeks. There, a lot of people have age issues, respiratory issues. There are a lot of old people, a lot of massive old smokers as well. So these guys, essentially, obviously, we're not too lucky about that. But then regardless, most other countries, things are going quite well, as we can see. And these numbers are something we should really look at very carefully, because if there's an outbreak in the States, that will probably most definitely have a huge tank on the crypto and on obviously the stocks as well market. So it's something I'll really look at and try to look at which countries able to do better recovery and who essentially is unfortunate, and how is it spreading. Really good job for this Korean guy that's doing this by his own. Cool for him. So yeah, nice one. Just a little bit more about Corona itself. There's three different versions, right? There's the mild version, the moderate version, and these are the ones that most people have. It's 80% of it, and it's, you know, respiratory issues, running nose, fever, not feeling well, but it's not like life-threatening. You could see that, you know, it's not going to take you out. If you have the other ones, though, that you really have like intense, you know, respiratory issues, all that, this is really where you should seek to have artificial respiratory help from hospitals whatsoever. And if that's the case, you should really get into that and really not neglect it. But if it's mild and moderate, there's high chances, to be honest, I'm maybe contracting it. I'm not moving from home. I'm doing very well. I'm doing Wim Hof breathing. 30 times, take my breath for 1 minute, do another 30 times breathing intense like that, and I do several different rounds, and then I try to hold my breath for 90 seconds, and I do that like 4 or 5 rounds every day. Take a cold shower as well. That really boosts my immune system and feel much better. And, you know, take some vitamins and Panadols, things like that. Not Panadols, but Defalgon is English, paracetamol. So anyways, I'm glad. I'm great. I'll do fine. And still have a huge smile. So that's great. Crypto market. We got a weird thing from FCA, the fact that they're calling potentially BitMEX a scam because they're not registered with it. Obviously, BitMEX is not a scam, but they're not registered with FCA, which that's a little bit weird because I presume London is probably a big way. There's a big community of traders that are from there. So maybe this will change, but that's a yellow red flag for it. Not really good. DeFi. Is DeFi dead or not? We've seen different cases, so with obviously MakerDao, with DAI, and a lot of different things through Ethereum protocols that DeFi has been growing. Aave is a great project as well for borrowing, lending as well. And recently we have unfortunately saw that due to volatility, extreme volatility from Ether dropping, you know, over 30% in 1 day, that has issues. It has multiple different issues that could come from not feeding it much. Sorry, how do you say it? Collateralization, under collateralization. Sorry about that. There's been, you know, obviously an emergency meeting that happened on Friday with the MakerDao community to make sure what would be the future and how they could have a better governance policies. But that's normal. I mean, I think so that'll just make them stronger and better. Really, hats off to MakerDao and the whole community that's behind it. There's have been cases as well for BZX, sorry, which essentially there's been some margin pump, some issues in the technology, and people that essentially took advantage of these different protocols that were able to undercollateralize different loans and run off with it. And when that happens once, usually it happens then very rapidly. Someone else realizes that there's an imminent, something not going very well, and that's quite sad. And with that being said, you know, what is the big issue here is that DeFi is still a very small world. You know, it's a world where, you know, it's still not, you know, the number one leading, you know, just staying next to it. I mean, Tether today got up to 5 billion. That's massive. You know, obviously with the risk and the volatility of the markets, people go off and back and forth into USDT to hedge their assets. And definitely that's not what we see for stable coins that are decentralized or different DeFi protocols. That's for, you know, margin loans or for whatsoever, for derivatives. And that really shows that, you know, we're still in a very early stage, I would say, of DeFi. And again, I'm a massive fan of it. And that centralized finance, though, like Tether, which big respect, you know, they're one of the first comers. Now they have it on Tron as well, not only Omni, but as well on Tron. So they're growing through different protocols as well. So they're doing a good job, but, you know, where is the best model? Is it on one side where you're going to see the DeFi or the centralized. Well, we can talk about that another time. The market itself, I mean, obviously it's in complete panic mode. So it goes risk on, risk off, risk on, risk off. And that's how the USDT as well gets to have a highly volatile and big asset under management. We can see yesterday was a bloodbath. Today it's green, obviously. Things are looking great. Quite excited about as well. SwissBorg token as well. Obviously is doing very well. Where is it? It's somewhere. It should be somewhere. No, it's that Chili's. Oops, sorry guys. But it was doing well earlier. I can't see it here. Anyways, the token was doing quite well. It was up 15% today, obviously, with all the great news happening and the bounce back from the markets. That's super exciting. That's going to happen probably for the next X amount of days or weeks that we're going to go through this, which is really risk on, risk off. It's not easy to look at the market and really tame the market as easy as possible. But it's cool to see that even Edward Snowden is saying that it's the first time I felt like I'm buying Bitcoin. The drop was too much of panic and too little reason. And that's true. You know, this last test was a quite sad test. The fact that, yeah, Bitcoin is a great store of value, is a great product, but it hasn't behaved like a safe haven. And I'll talk about that right after. So Bitcoin, why did it drop? Okay, we clearly saw last week that it capitulated, and the last hope that we have was essentially this. This was the last support that we had, and then when that 7,800 it just broke, then it went like down. And there's multiple different reasons, as we can see that, but the main thing is that there was a lot of different margin calls that were happening on BitMEX, and that's really the reason. Whatever the other guys are talking about is not true. It's all about futures now. The biggest liquidity that you have, the biggest assets that is triggered by the market today, it's BitMEX. So if BitMEX or Deribit is, you know, there's a lot of different people that are one support, and there's the margin that's touched. Well, they liquidated the positions, and when it liquidates, then it drops, and then you see that mechanism of the next one drops and the next one drops, and you have all these margin calls that are happening, and then you never know, you know, essentially when's the next support. And this is exactly what happened. The fact that when BitMEX sneezes, now everyone catches corona, and that's a sad one. And I mean, technically, what does this mean? Well, in the short term, mid-term, we really don't know what's happening. You know, everyone can talk about halving and a lot of different other things, but to be honest, it's too difficult right now to see. We see that there's a strong correlation between Bitcoin and the stock markets that people are really fear. And until there's no data that proves that, you know, we're not all going to die, and the States is happy, and China has controlled everything, and Europe is not going to be outbursts, well, then the market is going to be very shaky. And whenever there's going to be news, we're going to have these big volatile days, as we've been seeing for this last week. And this is exactly what I talked about earlier, these different fact that the indicators shows that how weak it is, and that these margin calls on futures are always liquidated within different ranges. The good thing is that there's insurance funds, though, on these different exchanges such as BitMEX, Binance, Deribit, OKX, and essentially is that as the margins goes very quickly, sometimes a person will actually owe money to the exchange, which never happens because he never comes back. He essentially liquidates his position, is dead. Then what happens is that they have a reserve fund. So it's really cool that these guys have it. I haven't been able to look at all the different wallets. Marco looked at it, but haven't been able to find the real nature of do these reserve funds are actually on wallet segregated or not, but they are covering it. And sometimes, well, they make money, sometimes they lose money. Nevertheless, they have to carry the activity, which is really important. And to go at the market itself, you know, obviously, right now everything is driven by fear, right? You see that 30% has dropped. So essentially, more than what was accumulated in the last 15, 16 months of performance, which was probably one of the best years by last year, has been lost within 10 days, and that's normal. It's just that the markets, so the financial markets, S&P and other indices, is just been on a bull market since March 21st, I think so. So that is 11 years of of crazy, sorry, out there, of crazy bullish markets, right? There hasn't been anything that has really shaked the market a bit in 2019, but 2018, sorry, but not that much. And I really believe that people need to exit. This is a great excuse to essentially take out of profits and leave the market and go buy back it, maybe in June or July or in September, whenever we drop the market of maybe, 40% or 50%, whatever it's going to take, because you need that head and shoulders eventually. And this is, look, this looks crazier than the crypto market of 2017. So, I think so going forward, what we really need to see, and this is quite a cool one. So if you guys want to buy some stocks, I really like this, the health and the wealth portfolio. You should buy into those 4 stocks. Netflix, because everyone's Netflixing and chilling right now. Amazon, because there's delivery, there's a cloud, there's everything. Anyway, people are just, remote working and chilling and buying different products through Amazon and there's toilet paper, weird things, all that. Zoom communication, obviously, because that's really good for chatting online with different colleagues. And the last one is the company is called Clorox. So essentially, it's bleach, different other products that enables to clean public streets and all these different subways and things like that. So that's going to be 4 probably stocks that fundamentally will grow with what's happening right now. So if you guys want to go into stocks, and to be honest, Amazon, even for the long run, I would just keep it. It's controlling the world. So, but those 4 stocks are definitely to look into. And last but not least, regarding the market, okay, how is this going to change? Essentially, if America is able to stabilize the coronavirus, and if we realize that the coronavirus is more fuss than actually it has its game, if it's as well the fact that if like hot weather will reduce the cases, there's probably going to be a lot of helicopter money. So there's like airdrops, the same thing, but on national level where everyone can receive some money. But I think so that is priced in some ways. Hong Kong already did that, but that could help a bit to trigger things. Or if people just say at the end, like after 2 months or 1 month, like, okay, well, it doesn't really matter if 2,000 or 5,000 people died out of it. It's still less than the flu, and sad enough, let's return back to work and just don't realize that this is such an important crisis. Maybe that could happen, and then we'll have a trigger. And when that trigger is going to happen, then you're going to see a bull market. There's no doubt. When there's always, again, the head and shoulders always happen again. If you have a big spike, you'll have a big downturn. If you have a big downturn, you'll have a recovery model. Exactly what this is being doing, like maybe on some daily basis, but this will happen like for a short period of recovery. Like that, you're in the market at the good moments. So for that, you really have to look at what are these triggering effects. And most probably it's the percentage of total recover, the fact that it won't spread as much as we think, and the mortality rate could maybe lower down if we're on more mature countries, such as we've seen in South Korea or Japan, things like that. Regarding SwissBorg, last week I was with Alex in London. It was super cool, Crypto Compare. I didn't shake any hands. Everyone wanted to shake my hand. That was weird. But I was really happy to be on stage with Alex. It was really cool. We did the DeFi against centralized FI. It's a great video. Really last moment, to be honest, we did. And Alex is representing the DeFi and representing the centralized world. And obviously, what's the best of those 2 worlds? SwissBorg, obviously. SwissBorg, because we, really take best of the both, right? Our focus really is on the on-chain, merging the on-chain and the off-chain world, and making this the best ecosystem ever. Because you can't win with a revolution. You can only do the evolution, and the evolution is taking both parts. It's really creating that Super Saiyan, right, where Son Goku goes Vegeta and mix it together. That's the strongest character. It's not Son Goku, it's not Vegeta. It's that combination of those two, and I think so. We're one of the rare company that's doing that. There's very few companies that we got the fact that you should use the decentralized movement, the philosophy behind it, the governance model behind it, but combine this as well with decentralized technology that could be given more transparency, more speed, and you could still have the same values of the decentralized world, but not losing the fact that we're still in a very highly regulated world, and we have to vision ourselves that DeFi is not going to happen today. It's going to happen for very few people, right? And the greater model is that hybrid model that we've been really pushing very strongly since the beginning, since day one. Talking about DeFi and MakerDao, was a really cool meeting Rune. Super smart guy, to be honest. I had the chance to talk to them for a little short 30 minutes, and to be honest, the guy is really technical. He understands the economics behind it, the philosophy. He's really one of the very smart guys. So tomorrow, Alex is having Crypto Night on the road, sorry. I'm sure it's going to be great. I'm super excited to watch it. And yeah, so please tune in tomorrow, comment, share it, like the usual. Again, how are we changing the world through the Wealth app? Well, as Warren Buffett says, price is what you pay, value is what you get. And how do we make sure that people want to invest first, right? We talked about it last week with different videos. And I wanted to have a little step back from this that Anthony had very nicely brought up, is that there's not only purpose, and profit and purpose could be aligned or couldn't be aligned, but it's not the same thing. It's really important to understand that a lot of people have been looking at the markets only on a profitable level, but not really driven by a purpose. And we talked about this in the past, and for the last years, every fact sheet is super boring. A lot of different graphs, a lot of different performance. Nothing really brings you. I mean, why would you want to buy S&P 500? I mean, yeah, if you want to make good profit, now it lost just 30%, but what's the story behind, right? If you're explaining behind that by supporting, by paying, buying the S&P 500, you're actually giving money to the best companies that are underlying today, and that see that shift went from, back then to like mining companies, to oil companies, to Walmart and whatsoever, going then to Google, Amazon, all these different technologies, then you will see that, actually buying the S&P 500 could make a lot of sense, right? Because I'm shifting from this old archaic industrial way of investing and giving money to all these people. We're now actually giving it maybe to companies that are more aligned. But just by saying that, instead of investing only by a graph, it would change everything. And a lot of people will be like, actually, you know what? I really believe in technology or whatever. I don't believe in it. I'm short S&P 500. I want to go back in industrials. But at least you have a purpose that is aligned with it. And that's really the key performance, is to find that middle between, as we said, the token, the technology, the team, and the philosophy. And we just have released the CHSB token movie. It's amazing, the last one. Really fantastic job to the entire team. I'm sure you're gonna love it. There's no doubt you're not gonna love it. I thought it is probably one of the highlights of we had of videos. I think it's really cool. We'll be sharing it very soon, I heard. And don't worry, it's not with a blue screen behind it. It's gonna be similar to Smart Engine, where it's really cool and very meaningful at the same time, and explains extremely well what's the CHSB value and what's the purpose of it. Last but not least, we are not at 40,000. Yes, we are getting close at 100,000 in the community app, which is amazing. And we have launched the Wealth app. We have launched the Wealth app. Private launch in Switzerland only. I know that this is just a little start, but we are super proud of it. And these are the stats of today, this morning. So essentially, there's 55,000 of average volume per day since the last 2 days. The smart engine execution is super fast from 165 to 408. We have close to 1 million CHSB that have been stacked, which is really cool. The onboarding time is doing great, thanks to Christoph and Old's entire new team. 7 minutes, which is great. We have roughly 250 people that are on the Wealth app. We just have sent one email as invitation. We're about to send a second one right now, so we'll be growing. What can I say, guys? I mean, almost bringing me the tears to my eyes. I mean, we've been working so long on this that it's finally getting here, and it's getting here when it's a weird wedgie crisis. But the great thing, as you guys know, is that through this great crisis, you have great opportunities as well. And it's been really hard for everyone within the team to produce this. And now that we're all remote, all decentralized, which is super cool, it's a weird feeling that we cannot celebrate too much, only through obviously Google Hangouts and things like that. But it's really exciting, and I really hope that the entire community is going to enjoy it. It's going to enjoy staking CHSB, buying Bitcoin and Ether at the best price. Obviously, looking at the great videos that's going to explain the token, the team, the philosophy. Really make sure that this is not another Coinbase, right? We're doing this because we believe that there's something to change, not just the product, but to change the entire ecosystem. And by purchasing, trading through SwissBorg, it's not just another app. It's a real ecosystem that's powered by an amazing team and even a better or as good community that you all guys are. With that, thank you so much, guys. It's been lovely. Please again, don't touch your face. Don't sneeze at people. Don't make sure that you're washing your hands. And make sure as well that you're enjoying the small bits of working remote and staying with your loved ones. So guys, thank you very much. Love you, and see you soon, guys.